Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Setting up again for Algebra 2 Goal 5. We're going to be finishing up our Family 3 factoring redo. There are a couple of special cases that we want to get you guys comfortable with. Factoring the univariate polynomials was in the last video. Those were pretty straightforward because for 4 topics you were doing the same thing basically every time. These are each a little bit different for different reasons, and it's a different kind of factoring. So let's buckle in and see what we can do to make these look a little bit easier. You can kind of see at a glance when you're looking at these. So this is our first topic, which is products of roots of a product polynomial. This is actually a throwback to chapter 4, where you're trying to find your zeros, meaning when you're looking on a graph and you're looking at whatever this polynomial looks like, where are the zeros where it actually crosses your x-axis. That's what was the whole point for goal 4, and we're going to be doing it again. And like in goal 4, you're going to take each set of parentheses and set them to 0. So 2x minus 4 equals 0, x squared minus 3x plus 2 equals 0. This one of the two is the easier, so we're just adding 4, 2x equals 4, divide by 2, x equals 2. So that's one of our zeros. But then when we look over here, we start to think, wait, what, huh, what, how, except you did literally all of this. This was a huge chunk of the tutorial videos that I was making earlier because this is factoring. Or, if you're really lazy, this is the quadratic formula. X equals opposite b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So, what we're going to be doing here, between the two, I happen to know this one off the top of my head because I can do a lot of factoring really fast in my head. I know that this second symbol tells me it's the same sign. It's either going to be plus, plus, or minus, minus. Therefore, what's the symbol I'm going to be using? Minus, minus. All right, and what are my factors of 2? 1 and 2. There we go. And hey, look, I have parentheses again. I can take each of those and set them equal to 0. X minus 2 equals 0. And then we just solve again. X equals 1 and x equals 2. So what's our full list? We have 1, 2, and 2. So then we don't need to list something twice. There's our solution. This one, same thing again. We're going to take each piece and set each piece equal to 0. So 3x plus 24 equals 0. Minus 24, minus 24. 3x equals negative 24, divide by 3, x equals negative 8. I'm doing this a little bit on fast forward because this stuff, the two-step equation stuff, should be old hat for you guys. You should be able to look at that and say, oh, yeah, I know what I'm doing. This is slightly newer because it was last chapter. It is going to be, what am I doing? X squared minus 8x plus 12 equals 0. So let's break that down. It's going to be same sign. And what's the sign going to be? X minus, x minus. Okay. What are my factors of 12 and which ones add up to 8? Let's see here. Outside and inside. Let's see here. We have 1 and 12. That's 13. We have 2 and 6, and that's 8. So we have 2 and 6. All right. Set those up. And what do we have? We have x minus 2 equals 0. X minus 6 equals 0. I like doing it as factoring generally for this topic because I'm using the skills from last chapter to make you guys more comfortable with it. So x equals 2 and then x equals 6. So what are our answers? We have negative 8, 2, and 6. And you can tell based on that kind of what the shape of the graph is going to be, because you have the negative 2, then you have the 2, and then you have the 6. So you kind of have a rough idea of what the shape of the graph looks like. Next up, new set. Scroll up. All right, what do we have here? We have 4u plus 12 equals 0, minus 12, 4u equals negative 12, divide by 4, u equals negative 3. That's one of them. This one, u squared minus 1 equals 0. They try to trick you here. I happen to know it's a difference of squares, but if that's one of the special cases we talked about in my videos for chapter 4. If you don't know that off the top of your head, you can actually add 1, U squared equals 1, so we can square root that and square root that. The thing to remember is that this is going to spit out two answers. We have 1 and we have negative 1. Because 1 squared is 1, that makes sense. Negative 1 squared is also 1, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Wow. So what do we have? We have negative 1, negative 3, and 1. And there's our list. Next up, this one's a little bit more traditional. So we'll do the easy one first. So 7w minus 14 equals 0, plus 14 plus 14. 7w equals 14, divide by 7, w equals 2. So that's one of them. Next up, w squared minus 9w plus 14 equals 0. I'm going to factor that out. This tells me it's the same sign, and what's the sign going to be? It's going to be minus. So w minus, and 14, the obvious answer is going to be 2 and 7. Wait, 2 plus 7 is 9? Yeah, 2 plus 7 is 9. So w minus 2 equals 0, w equals 2, and then w minus 7 equals 0, so w equals 7. So our answers are 2, 2, and 7. I don't need to do repeats. And we are done. Not so bad. Not so bad. The other kind of factoring that they want you to get comfortable with is over here, where you're factoring a quadratic trinomial. And what that basically means is you're looking at your coefficients, and then you're going to look at your exponents. We had talked about that in an earlier video. If you have those exponents, if you have y to the 7th, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you have 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many do all of them have in common? They have the 5 in common. And you kind of know that in advance because you're always going to be pulling out your smallest exponent. So we can pull out a y to the 5th. I'm looking at my 3, my 12, and my 15. I happen to know that all of those are divisible by 3. All right, so I'm ready. Pull out the 3, disappears. Pull out the 5, becomes y squared. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 6 minus 5 is just the 1. Okay, 15 divided by 3 is 5, and I'm pulling out all of my y's. So far, so good. Now, here's the catch-22. This is where things get tricky. You might be done here, or you might not. I got to check for a second. So we have y. That's going to be the same sign. So it'll be y minus and y minus. 5 and 1 is 1 and 5. Does 1 plus 5 equal 4? No, it doesn't. It equals 6. Okay. Because more than once, kids have been tricked by this topic by having this and then figuring out and realizing after the fact that the quadratic they're left with, their y squared, yada, 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 can somehow be factored. And everyone just goes, oh, mess. Because now you have to go through the effort of checking. Now we're going to look over at this one, see if we have any luck. Let's see here. I know I can pull out a v because I have that v. 6, 16, and 8. I can at least pull out a 2. Is there anything bigger than that? Do a 4, but not with the 6. Okay, so pull out a 2, and you'll have 3v squared. Pull out a 2, and it will be 8v. Pull out a 2, and it will be 4. Let's see here. Is there any combination of those that will make an 8? Let's find out. 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. Yeah, there is. This is outside, and this is inside. I'm doing my tables a little bit fast because there's a different video that goes into that in more depth, and you should have seen it already because you made it through chapter 4. So 2v, and then I have 3u, and then I have u. My outside is 2, and then my inside is 2. And that's what they're looking for. So here, there was no way I could break it down, but over here there was. And that's why this topic in particular can be a challenge for some students because God forbid you forget a skill from the prior chapter. Subtle hint. So let's look at the next one. So you're always checking, can I factor it more? Can I factor it more? Can I factor it more? Let's see here. 3, 9, 39. Can I divide that by 3? Yes, I can. So 3w squared. That becomes w squared minus 3w plus 13w. Nope, no w's. No w's, Mr. Bois, because I pulled out all of them. 13 only breaks down to 1 and 13, and there's no combination of that that will get me a 3w. So we ended up being lucky here. Let's look over here. I can pull out a 3y, Ms. Dubois, Lord in heaven, I can't write this morning. 3y to the 5th. All right, so that becomes y squared. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 36 divided by 3 is 12. All right, let's see if we can figure that out. We have one of these is going to be minus. We have 1 and 12 and 2 and 6. Yep, 2 and 6. This one can be. Oh, they lined up so neatly. I didn't notice that. All right, so this one can be factored. 3y to the 5th. And then I have a plus and a minus. It's going to be minus 6 and then plus 2. All right, I hope you guys were able to follow me. I got a little bit lost in the math. It was more about doing it live in front of students. But again, if you don't remember your factor tables, if you don't remember how to break these down in order to get what you need, don't be afraid to look up another video or one of my prior tutorials, since God knows there's a lot of videos on the YouTubes right now. So that's a separate one. So that's 2 out of the 3 topics. And now for our last one. Before we do anything, I'm going to put and actually highlight. You want this in your notes. Bold, underline, italics. You want this in your notes. Like, I'm literally going to just wait here for a second so that you can hit pause on the video and write this down in your notebook so that this topic will be easy for you. Okay? Don't mind waiting. All right. Hopefully you've had enough time to hit pause and write everything down. Here's what we're looking for this. What's going to happen is, because they're telling you outright this is the sum or difference of 2 cubes, they're deliberately telling you that all of the numbers that you're going to be having here are cubes. 125 is a cube number. 27 is a cube number. 8 is a cube number. W cubed is, well, obviously a cube number. What you're going to be looking for is you want to see what the signs are underneath so that you know what your signs are set up for when you're writing out your answer. Now for me, because as a math teacher, I have to kind of take the time to memorize this. Because the format is the same for both sides, I shorthanded a little bit. So let's see here. I know if it's going to be a plus, it's going to be a plus minus plus. If it's a negative, it's going to be a negative plus plus. That's the Ms. Dubois shorthand. I don't want to explain it too much because this for beginners is way more important, but I'm going to need that for myself later on when I start scrolling down. So 125 and then 27. So 125, again, because Ms. Dubois is a show-off and she has all of this math memorized, that's 5. What's 27? What is cubed? What is the cubed root of 27? That's 3 and 3w. Now this is a minus, so this will be minus. And then I'm filling in the format here. So I want a squared, my first number squared. What's my first number? 5. So 5 squared is 25, and then this can be plus and plus. Then I'm going to have a times b. So what is 5 times 3w? 15w. And then I want my b squared. My b squared is going to be 9w squared. Okay, next up, set up. So it'll be plus, minus, and plus. So what is the cubed root of 8? That's 2. All right, and what is the cubed root of w? That's just w. So now you're left with a squared. So 2 squared is 4. Then you're left with a times b, which is 2w. And then you're left with b squared, so w squared. And does this match format? A, b, okay. A squared is 4. A times b, yep. And then b squared. Good. Scroll down a little bit. All right, we have another one that is a plus, which means it's going to be plus, minus, plus. So now I can fill in. What is the cubed root of 64? That is 4. Okay, and then that's going to be just v. So 4 squared is 16. V squared is v squared. 4 times v is 4v. Okay, so far so good. Now this is a minus, so it'll be minus, plus, plus. Again, I'm cheating a little bit because I have this memorized and then shorthanded down to this. That's what I'm doing when you're seeing me do my setups here. So what is the cubed root of 27? We already figured that out. That is cubed root of 27, which is 3. And then the cubed root of 8 we figured out was 2b. All right, now we want a squared, so 3 squared is 9. 3 times 2 is 6b, and then 2 squared is 4b squared. So this one, as a concept, is actually pretty easy. The thing that makes it challenging is that you have to go through the effort of having this written down in your notes and memorized. Ms. Dubois has put in all of that time and effort, can do this on the fly and literally off the top of her head because I know my setups, but that's because I've put in the time and effort. You guys are just learning this, so you guys need to take the time to put in the effort in order to know what you're doing. But there are the 3 topics for today. Next video for Algebra 2 Goal 5, we will be talking about the next family, Family 4. I haven't even looked at what those topics are. I'll let them be a surprise to me as well as to you. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe.